ladies and gentlemen. Jermaine to Fire himself, Halfpint once again. Today, it's time to talk about size, because sometimes size does matter in the ways you're not thinking about. And today, the size of this video does matter because we're going to try to keep it short while talking about how big Subverse really is. It's a question we've been getting quite a bit, just before the games come out, and you might be watching this after Subverse has come out and realize that we're in early access. So, what are we getting? How many chapters in the game? How big are each chapter? And what can we expect the total size of Subverse to be? Well, luckily, I went back and dug open some of the old Kickstarter updates, looked through some of this information, and they still hold up to a lot of the information that we have nowadays as well. Needless to say, we have a solution to our question, for the most part. Before we get into it, typical YouTube plugs, hit subscribe down below because blah 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 blah. Okay, but seriously, I like doing YouTube, guys, and we're almost at 10,000 subscribers. So if you hit subscribe, if we make it to 10,000 by the end of this month, that'd be highly generous of you guys. I would greatly appreciate that because small goals like that matter to me as a content creator. It's been a lot of fun. You guys have been absolutely smashing it with the goals recently. We got to 6,000 really fast after I started asking you guys to do so, so I appreciate that in the long term very much, guys, and let's see if we can keep it going. So, how big is Subverse? Well, going through the old Kickstarter update, it would appear as if originally the game was going to be a 10-chapter based game. We got this from the Kickstarter back in the day if you helped fund or were reading the Kickstarter whenever they were gathering their funds. So back then they were saying that the game was supposed to be 10 chapters long, but they ended up changing it to be 22 chapters instead. And they're even jam-packed, as Christoph went on to go in detail. He talked about it a little bit in last Wednesday's interview that we had with him. Link down below. Check that out if you haven't already. Absolutely wonderful interview. In some of the past Kickstarters, he also talked about how there really is a lot of content to this game. They even went in depth talking about some of these planets. Now you might be wondering, with 22 chapters, how big are these chapters specifically? Inside of this dev diary, they kind of explain specifically that in the first 3 chapters, we'll be getting Demi, Lily, and Killy. This content includes the tutorial, introduction, and recruitment missions, which add up to 6 total chapters that we'll be getting for the first release. We're still doing internal testing, but we'll detail the total expected gameplay length expected at a launch in early Q1, which we already know about. I mean, it's March 26th, it's the final day the game's coming out, blah, 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 or for the first 6 chapters at least. However, when you take into account the average length of each chapter, plus the fact that you get an additional level 2 to 3 difficulty plant scenario with each release, Subverse is going to be a pretty damn big game. This is why we confirmed that there will definitely be more than 30 hours of content in our last announcement. As far as we know, I think there's 429 planets within the game that were made by the Great Colonist tier, or the Curious Colonist tier, the people who donated enough to the Kickstarter to make their own planet. There's about 429 of those people who donated, also yours truly included. Looking forward to that planet. So look forward to those customized planets as well as some of the other default planets coming to the game. Now, Christoph did confirm on Wednesday that not all of the planets are going to have 3 chapters inside of them. Some of them will have less. You'll have some of those story-based planets that might only have like 1 mission inside of it. Again, it could be a story-based mission, or it could be one you land it real quick and who knows, maybe it's just like a probe mission like Mass Effect. He didn't say anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw content like that as well. It'd be kind of cool for like an exploratory planet. More on that in just a minute. Just put a pin when it comes to level design. We'll circle back to that later in this video. But for now, let's go back to talking about the chapter-based releases for the game and what else we might be getting inside of Subverse. So some people have been asking about, hey, what about waifu content? How big is Pandora? And one of my earlier videos, again, shameless plug, I've been talking about a lot of content recently in Subverse. I'm plugging all this stuff for you to check out. How many Pandora scenes can we expect? It looks as if they really do want to make sure you go out and actually get some of these scenes throughout the course of the game. They're not just going to hand it to you. However, they have said that they have increased the size of the Pandora scenes ever since they had first announced it in the Kickstarter. Hell, we've already seen this in one of the images in one of the past Kickstarter updates that came out just recently. It showed off like a new screenshot. There's a lot of scenes you can pick from. You can mix and match between the different waifus at different times. There's a lot of content to look forward to for sure. Another question we get sometimes is, will they retroactively be adding content to older chapters as they add new chapters to the game? The answer is no. They will not be changing older chapters that are already in the game. Those are there as they are. they'll be adding stuff on top of that with the newer chapters. However, this also means, and is also confirmed here, that they will not require you to get a brand new save when they add brand new chapters to the game. So if you buy it early access to play the first 6 chapters, you're not losing your save. You will have that save from the beginning to the very end. When the final chapters of the game come out, you're good to go. Your saves will not be messed up. How will the release strategy affect waifu's screen time? It won't. The script was written in a way that if a waifu is recruited later in the game, she generally still receives around the same amount of total screen time as those that came before her. Another big advantage of doing a chapter-based release is we know exactly what order the waifus will be recruited in and can plan accordingly to still include her in a story after her initial content is finished. Needless to say, you're not really going to be having a Mass Effect 2 situation where you're going to recruit a waifu and then, or recruit a squad mate in Mass Effect 2's situation, and then boom, becomes a problem because you can't find that person anymore or anything along those lines. So, needless to say, you're good to go. Screen time will be the same. If you skip them in an early part of the game, it's not going to affect them later on. You'll recruit them when the hell ever, and you have all their content. How many systems are there per nebulae, and how many planets are explorable in each one? Here's a rough breakdown. There are 5 nebulae in Subverse, 6 if you count the dragon being split into north and south, as we saw from the Ark video. Throughout those nebulae, there are over 500 planets. Okay, so they've changed it from the earlier Kickstarter when they were first doing these updates. So it looks like they've narrowed it down to about 500 planets instead of 600. About 2/3 of those have some kind of level 1 planet encounters, main or side quest. Beyond that, each system typically has several level 2 encounters, and most will have at least one level 3 as well. So we'll have a level 1, we'll have a couple level 2s, and a majority of them will be level 3 planets. When we saw on screen where there's like the 3 different categories you can choose from. Good to hear. Or I guess they'll at least have one level 3 inside of each system. Does the chapter-based release influence development in a good or bad way? From a development standpoint, it is 100% positive. Rather than having to focus on completing an entire game at once and worrying about so many different objectives, we can follow a very clear chronological path to completion. So that's all the information we have specifically when it comes to the chapter-based releases. However, we have more information regarding the size of the game. Well, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of another video. I had to kind of cut it short because I ran out of time to edit. So in tomorrow's video, we'll talk about more of the level design that they're having inside of Subverse, because there's a few surprises specifically when it comes to the level design. But in the meantime, that's kind of the scale you can get of how big Subverse really is. They have this planet-o-matic system they use within the engine in order to build all these pre-rendered or pre-generated planets, because they had to build, what, like 500 total planets in the game, so it's pretty insane all in all. But I need to go ahead and wrap things up. But if you haven't already, hit subscribe down below to see if we can make it to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We're on our way there, so I'd greatly appreciate that. Wednesday, we'll be streaming another giveaway for you guys, and we'll have Joshua Story here, the voice of Tybalt, here on the channel. We'll be talking, interacting with him. He's also a pretty good buddy at the channel, so it's going to be a great chat on Wednesday. Be sure to be here Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Time Zone to check out that chat. It's going to be a fun time. Hope to see you all there. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all for watching a long time and a hard time. I'll see you guys next time. And subscribe to my OnlyFans for gameplay on Subverse.